Welcome back to another episode of Front Row Cinema, a movie podcast for movie lovers by movie lovers. I'm your host, TJ Trimboli, and with me, as always, my co-host, God's forgotten son in the house tonight. We got Mr. James O'Reilly.
Nice. Am I the forgotten one? Does he have two?
Well, yeah, you have to be to be the forgotten one.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, Jim, they I don't know how they forgot you in the text because clearly, like, you've been very godlike to me throughout your entire life. So
Seriously, I mean, you're right. Nobody's forgotten the other one. It's like it's all
it's true.
anybody can talk about.
Yeah. Always talking about Jesus, never about James. What's up with that? We're changing it here tonight. And each week we take a look at my 1,000 movies I've seen in theaters and we see how well it's aged, along with the hype surrounding the film, its box office analysis, and legacy in the film industry. So if you enjoy this kind of content, hit that sub button on YouTube, leave that 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's how you help the channel grow. Jim, what are we watching tonight?
We're watching my pick, which there's many times in life where I think something is a really funny idea and I don't necessarily think all the way through like what it means. Um, and a lot this week I've been thinking, why have I forsaken myself? You know, like why did I do this to me? But we're watching The Passion of the Christ.
That's right. This has been a running joke throughout the last handful of episodes that we've been doing, and we decided at this point it had to be done. And here we are. And what a journey it has been. This was a first time watch for both of us.
Yeah. It's
Neither of
rare
us,
that we come
yeah,
across those
rare that
too.
we come across a movie in this day and age that neither of us have seen, especially a movie that did so well at the box office for neither
Yeah.
of us
Well,
to have seen.
I'm sure there's tons of movies neither one of us have seen. Like we see them a lot in Box Office Mojo when I'm like also opening this week in 38th place. You know what I mean? Like those kinds. But for a movie that was this like popular, yeah, and
Yeah,
like everybody has like at least heard of this, right? So it seems rare that neither one of us would have seen
rare
it.
that neither of us have seen it. And you decided it was time to rectify that and for us to do penance and watch this movie. And watch this movie we did. We're doing the 2004 religious film, The Passion of the Christ, directed by Mel Gibson from a script by him and Benedict Fitzgerald, and starring Jim Caviezel and Monica Bellucci. And we have a quick log line here on the back of the DVD. Yes, Jim, I do own the DVD for The Passion of the Christ. That is
Before you jump into the log line, I think I
yeah,
gotta correct you there for a second. Who'd
okay.
you say it was directed by?
Mel Gibson.
I don't know, man. I could have sworn when I was watching this movie that it was directed by Zack Snyder. Like,
That's a that's an excellent foreshadowing of so many thoughts that I have later
yeah,
about this movie.
yeah. But anyway, keep going. Yeah, on the log line. We'll have to look that one up later.
Yes, we got the log line here on the back. Very quick, very easy, because the plot of this movie is very easy. It is the profound story of courage and sacrifice depicting the final 12 hours in the life of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, much like the movie itself, that DVD blurb is like, come on, you've heard of it. Like,
All right, come on. Like you know what this is about. Like, you know what we're doing here. Like, come on. Do I really got to say it? And they said it. Now again, we don't have any memories of this movie because neither this is the first time watch for either. But I'm curious. Do I? I don't have memories, obviously, of seeing the movie, but I have a lot of core memories of just the time in which this movie came out
yeah,
because I remember like weeks at a time where the 6 o'clock news was just going off about this movie. And it seemed like it was every other day that a different ambulance was showing up at a theater because somebody either fainted or had a heart attack watching this movie. So this was
yeah.
just in the news cycle for weeks.
I don't remember the ambulance stuff, but I remember that this movie caused quite a stir when it came out. I do
It's
remember that.
Yeah, a lot of controversy surrounding this film when it came out that was all over the airwaves. But no, I specifically remember ones where it would pop up and they would be like, man had a heart attack watching The Passion of the Christ. And then it would show like video of just like droves of people online to go see The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah,
Because once upon a time, kids, if you wanted to see a movie, you had to line up outside for the show if you wanted to get a good seat.
yeah. That's fair, yeah. Because right, it wasn't reserved seating back then. Like you had to like actually buy the ticket and then walk into the theater and figure out where you were gonna
Yeah.
sit.
You had to wait. A lot of times people would get into fights over jackets strewn about good seats, waiting for the
Yeah,
people to show up.
for sure. Yeah, if I could boil down my memory of the news of this movie at the time, because there's a lot of weeds we can get into that I'm gonna try and avoid for the most part. Um, but like it felt like the first counterattack, maybe like the opening salvo in like Starbucks's War on Christmas. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
this was like
yeah.
the preemptive strike where they were like,
The
"Nope, Christmas is here to stay." Like,
preamble to the war on Christmas.
yeah, right.
Absurd. Now I guess, before we really dive into this movie, because this is the first time we're tackling a religious movie. Uh, it can really dictate the way we discuss this movie going forward. Because there's a few different takes that you can take when really discussing a religious movie, and we don't have to go too deep in the weeds because I don't want to go too deep in the weeds because
Yeah,
this isn't a podcast where we're going to be really diving into religion. We're really diving into just a movie that deals with religion. But I
right.
guess the question does remain: do either of us believe that this actually happened?
Oh
Do you believe?
Jesus, you're like, we're not gonna get into religion. And I'm sitting here saying maybe you'll have a disclaimer about like how we were both raised Catholic. You probably could have guessed based on our last names that we were both raised Catholic.
We were.
Um, and here you are asking me like, what do you believe?
Well, I mean,
Like,
it does
we're not
stand.
gonna get too deep. We're just gonna cut right to the heart of it.
Well, that at least that question stands to reason because it really dictates how we talk about this movie. If either of us believe that this story is based on any sort of truth, you know what I mean?
So, I mean, yeah, I guess what I would say is I don't know is the best answer I can have. Because like
Yes.
if you're asking if you're avoiding the religious aspect of it altogether, right? Which actually it's interesting because Mel Gibson I think said like he's not necessarily like getting into whether it actually happened or not. He's just making a movie like based on his religion, you know what I
Oh
mean?
no, dude, seems like you're pretty in on this happening. Mel Gibson,
Me? Me?
Mel Gibson, not you.
Oh yeah, no, Mel Gibson definitely seems like he's in on it happening, yeah. Um, but yeah, like without getting into like whether I don't know if I think Jesus is the son of God, right?
Yeah.
Like I think he might have been a real guy. I mean, how do I know? It was a long ass time ago. I maybe, maybe not, you know?
Long ass time ago in a town called Bethlehem. Yeah, I think I would echo those statements. I'm not a very religious person, and I don't really think about it too much because it happened a long time before I was born, and it doesn't really affect my day-to-day life.
Yeah. What I will say
I'll
is
find out when I die.
right. What I will say is like whether or not it all really happened, or whether or not any of it really happened, I guess might be a better way to say it. I do think that the story itself is too good and too compelling and too much of a narrative. Like, I have a feeling there was some adaptation along the way if it did really happen. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. No, this definitely feels every time somebody puts out a testament, it feels like they're sprucing this up for the times.
Yeah, right, right. Like maybe there was a real guy, but like, is it all like so like neatly fitting into a book? Like, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But my guess would be probably not. You know, like I'm
I
sure
would
there's some embellishments.
I would say if there's one thing I've learned from watching movies that start with based on a true story, is it is not in fact based on a true story.
Did this movie say based on a true
No,
story in the beginning?
no.
Okay.
Imagine
I was
that
like,
would be quite an opening salvo on Mel Gibson's part to start this with
yeah,
it.
I was like, I didn't think I saw that, but like, yeah, that would go against exactly what I was saying Mel just said. Like, he's like, I'm not saying whether it really happened or not. I'm just putting based on a true story in the beginning
He's
of
like,
it.
I'm just asking the questions. He's asking the
Yeah,
questions
so
that need to be asked.
I don't know. I think that's enough of
Yeah.
that.
No, but I mean, it. You could see why, like, it is like a at least a base ground because, like, if we were to have a conversation about this movie and one of us was sitting there thinking, like, no, like, I think this happened, like, it kind of like changes the trajectory of how the conversation would go.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. I
And
mean,
that's
like,
and
so
that's all I'm trying to go. I'm not trying to go any deeper than that because like we don't need there's no need to go deeper than that.
yeah, I guess like the only thing I would say that makes me really wonder if it actually did, like assuming I'm coming from a like probably not, the thing that makes me wonder if it actually did is like Christianity came from somewhere, right? And it like was born out of like Rome as far as I know. So like I don't know, that seems like a pretty like that seems like at least some smoke, even if not fire, you know? Like something happened. Like
Yeah. It is something. And they were like, we're gonna make a great story out of this, guys. Like he's like, maybe you guys aren't ready for it, but your kids are gonna love it.
yeah, totally. Your kids are gonna love.
They're gonna be big fans. And they were big fans because this movie did a stupid amount of money for a religious film. Normally these movies come out and you get, like they always do okay because you're always gonna have that religious crowd that's gonna come and see them. But this movie didn't just do okay. Like this movie did insane numbers. So let's cue it up, Jim. Let's dive into those box office numbers.
Numbers, dates, and numbers, numbers, dates, hooray. Dates, numbers. Show me the money.
All right. The Passion of the Christ. As always, we're going to start off by talking about a little bit of budget. One of the things that we didn't mention in the kind of like news and hype around this movie, this was an independent film, was it not?
It's actually the most successful independent film of all time because
Right. And
no studio wanted any part of this movie.
right, no studio was like, sign me up for that, right?
Yeah. Like, could you imagine like taking this to Warner Brothers and like they're watching it in the studio and they're like, dude, what are you out of your fucking mind? Like, absolutely
Yeah,
not.
yeah, like, what are you nuts?
The
Um,
fuck you want me to pitch this?
So it's an independent movie, and I'm kind of talking out of my ass here, but I feel like Mel Gibson put up some of his own money to make this too.
I have no idea, so I'll defer to you on that one.
Yeah, but anyway, with all that in mind, it's gonna come in at a pretty reasonable budget, especially compared to some of the movies we've been doing recently. $30 million budget.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not bad at all, right? And I mean, like, we at this point we've done this a lot where we talk about like you see every bit of that 30 million and then some like on the screen in this movie, right?
But yeah, for this one, for sure. And I mean, who the most expensive person is probably Mel himself, because like I can't imagine Jim Caviezel's costing a heavy penny for this movie.
No, I don't. I honestly, this is the first I remember ever hearing about that guy.
I mean, obviously he had the movie Frequency before this, which is a really good movie, but we had never heard of it when this movie was coming out.
Well, I think I had probably seen Frequency, but I had no idea who that Jim Caviezel was in it, right? It's like one of those things where if I went back and watched Frequency now, I'd be like, "Oh, no way, Jim Caviezel." Like, but
Yeah.
back then he was just the guy in Frequency, right?
I did have that when
Um,
I just showed Heather Frequency actually for the first time, and
uh-huh.
I just had that moment, but it wasn't Jim Caviezel. It was the blonde Juliet from Lost plays Dennis Quaid's wife in the movie, and I was like, oh shit,
Oh, yeah,
Juliet,
yeah.
like nice.
So yeah, so anyway, opening weekend is going to be February 27th through the 29th. I there seems something really weird about this being on a leap year. I don't know. Like some God works in mysterious ways, so they say.
God was like, and thou shalt get another day
Yeah,
to earn
right.
money in
God
my
is
name.
like, on the extra day, we will earn more millions.
And on the leap day, God reaped the benefits.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know if I mentioned this, but we were both raised Catholic, so like
We
we have
did,
a very specific tone and cadence we think of when priests are talking.
we do. And we both also were in the same religion class as like kids.
Yeah, right,
We
right,
both
right.
did.
So we would have been around the same
We,
priests.
we were in
I
the
guess
trenches together.
we probably should have talked more about this earlier, but I'm bringing it up now. Do you remember that one priest at St. Bernard's who always used to be like, "Body of Christ, pal."
I do remember that.
Body of Christ, buddy. Like he would like give like finger guns to like everybody who came up.
Listen,
That guy was a
yeah,
nut.
he was trying to make the Lord cool again. I
Seriously.
remember another one. I don't know if he was a priest or just a religion teacher, but like his way of teaching us was to not teach us religion, but to play random rock songs, and whoever could guess the song would get a
Oh, I
treat.
remember. I
Remember that
remember.
guy?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He played us. what's that Stone song? Sympathy for the Devil or
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah.
Like,
And thankfully, the treat was candy and not his erection.
yeah. Yeah, definitely thankfully for that. Yeah. Oh man, what a time.
Good times. Good times.
What a time. Uh anyway, dude, I remember okay, hold on. One more story. He played a song. I think it was Sympathy for the Devil. And he
Okay.
was like, if anybody can guess what this song is,
You get to blow
like
me.
you, yeah, like you win like all the candy. Like, and it was like whoever guesses it first. And like this is like one of the more like embarrassing moments of my life. Like
Let's
where
hear it.
he started playing the song and I was like, "Oh my God, I know it." And I like shot my hand up and I was like, "I don't know the name of it, but it's that song where they're like, baby, you just ain't seen nothing yet." And I was like so sure that that was the right song and he's just like, "No." Like, what are you talking about? Put your hand down.
There was like three Hail Marys for you, boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Disrespecting the Stones like that.
Yeah, I think that honestly might be the moment where I stopped like raising my hand so much because I was like, "Oh man," I was like so sure, and then I like sang it.
You went all in there.
Yeah. Um, but yeah. Anyway, maybe on another podcast, like a different type of podcast, we can dig into old religion stories.
All right, we can dig into the
Um,
the 5 years we spent in those trenches.
yeah. In the meantime, The Passion of the Christ is going to open Leap Weekend of 2004, February 27th through the 29th.
Huge.
For some context, this is the third week of a movie we did just a few episodes ago, 50 First Dates.
Okay, nice.
And Passion of the Christ is going to open number one with a
Ooh,
whopping $83.8 million. dollars.
that is like absolutely insane. Like 83.8 is good enough for the number five biggest opening weekend of all time at this point. Like, that's absolutely insane. It's just behind X2's 85.6, but ahead of Star. It beats Star Wars Episode 2's opening weekend of
Yeah,
$80
which
million,
is,
dollars,
which
which is
is
insane.
bananas.
It's insane. It's also that opening weekend is the second biggest opening weekend ever for an R-rated movie, behind only The Matrix Reloaded, another movie about Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, it's like still to this day pretty high up there for R-rated movies, right?
Yeah, I think it still holds like the, or probably dropped down to three now, because
Yeah, well,
Deadpool and
I mean,
Wolverine.
yeah, and like all three Deadpool movies were really successful and were rated R.
Oh yeah,
So
so it's probably dropped a few places, but still, like it's still
yeah, but
in
it's
within
still
the
up
top
there,
10. Yeah, which
right?
is
Like
insane.
it's rare enough that like before Deadpool, I don't even know if I can remember the last movie before that that like really hit the big time as an R-rated movie.
But yeah, no, not many. It's crazy.
And yeah, we've covered this week before. Like I said, third week of 51st Dates. This is the first week of Club Dread. So like, so just nobody's really even close. 51st Dates is in second with 12.6 million. It's
Yeah,
like
like not even
$70
close.
million dollars plus behind,
Every
right?
yeah, everybody's coming out for the Lord that weekend.
Weekend two.
Also, oh Jim, I'm actually shocked that you're not. You usually love a good 5 day weekend, and you're totally gonna skip over. It's opening.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
I didn't even know that this was a 5 day weekend. You
yeah.
got me.
So it opened on a Wednesday because that previous Wednesday was Ash Wednesday.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
those
yeah. So they opened it on Ash Wednesday.
that's hilarious. How did I not find that?
Like, has to be one of the
So
greatest
funny.
marketing moves of all time to
Yeah,
open it on
right.
Ash Wednesday,
I mean, talk about a twofer. You go and get your ashes, and then you go see Passion of the Christ.
right? You faint and
That's
get a
what a
ride to
way
the
to kick
hospital.
off the Easter season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like kicking off Lent hard, man. What a promising
Yeah.
kickstart to Lent.
Dude, can you imagine like you go and get your ashes, and then you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go see Passion of the Christ. And like, I don't know, maybe you've already figured out what you're giving up for Lent. You're like, I'm gonna not drink iced tea for 40 days. And then you go see Passion of the Christ, and you're like, man, I maybe need to like take this a little more seriously. Like, iced tea might not be cutting it. Like, what else can I do here?
How could I really give up? My
Yeah.
God, amazing. But yeah, that 5 day weekend actually pulls in $125.2 million, ties it with Return of the King for the biggest 5 day weekend of all time.
Well, I'm sorry. This is like that Office meme. I don't see the difference. How is this not the Return of the King exactly?
It is, dude. Just like it hits with Matrix Reloaded, another movie about Jesus Christ. It ties Return of the King, like two kings representing like all the
Represent.
signs are there, Jim.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so all right, good catch on the 5 day weekend.
I got
Glad you
you.
brought up Ash Wednesday.
Listen, if there's one thing I always know, it's what day Ash Wednesday is on any given year. So
Yeah,
I got you.
I definitely didn't just realize that it already happened because you brought it up right now.
Yeah, Jesus, Jim.
um, Going into weekend two, Passion of the Christ is gonna hold first place. 36.5% drop, which is just a ridiculous number when you start in the 80s on your opening weekend. It's going to pull in 53.2 million in weekend two.
Jesus, that's absurd. That's huge still. And with 2 weeks at the top, man, Hollywood
Yeah,
didn't know what they were giving up.
to date, we covered maybe about 135 million or so. To date, it's pulled in 213.8 domestic.
Insane. After
So
two
it's like
weekends.
right, 2 weekends, but like it's getting money during the weekdays too, I guess is what my point. Like a good like 80 million of that or so are through like Monday through Friday of those weeks, you know?
Nuts. Like I
It's
couldn't
gonna
imagine after my workday being like, I need to unload with some Passion of the Christ right now.
right, right.
It's either
Yeah.
take it easy, you're gonna watch a Passion of the Christ.
Yeah. It's gonna beat out two openings. I am curious to see. I think we might, well, no, we would have passed these already, so we wouldn't have
We
done them.
passed these long ago.
Yeah, we passed these long ago. My bad. It's going to beat out two openings. In second, Starsky and Hutch with
Nice.
28.1 million, and then in third, the Viggo Mortensen vehicle Hidalgo with
Oh,
18.8.
man, dude, that's a stunning weekend at the movies right there.
I
I could
know,
double
right?
feature Passion and Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, talk about Catholic guilt. You go see Passion of the Christ instead of Hidalgo or Starsky and Hutch. What are you guys thinking?
I mean, what is Starsky and Hutch if not a parable about the modern day Jesus Christ?
What is Hidalgo if it's not that? I mean, come on. Weekend three. It's gonna hold number one
Dude,
again.
unbelievable. That's a
30,
run right there.
yeah, 39.7% drop, pulling in 32.1 million.
Dude, that is like, that's just stupid. Like, absolutely stupid.
Yeah, it's gonna beat out another two pretty notable openings here. Starsky and Hutch and Hidalgo are still here in third and fourth. In second, the Johnny Depp vehicle, Secret Window. Right? That's a
Oh
Johnny
my
Depp movie?
God. Yeah, yeah. You stole my story.
Yeah, that's that one, right? That comes in second with
What a movie.
18.2 million. And then
I mean, again, not even close.
down here in fifth is gonna be the opening weekend of Agent Cody Banks 2, Destination London.
Jesus.
It pulls in a paltry 8 million.
Oh my God. What is Agent Cody Banks 2 if not a modern day parable of the Passion of the Christ?
Yeah, I mean, the Passion of the Christ took place in London, right?
Totally.
That's where
Absolutely.
he was walking to at the end. That was his
Yeah.
destination.
Yeah. When they kicked him out of Rome, he was like, I guess I'll go to England.
Yeah, just a hop, skip, and a jump over the channel.
That's a quick walk.
Weekend four.
If it holds
The
number one, I swear to God.
No, the king is gonna be dethroned.
Oh man. All right. So 3 weeks. It's been a while since we've had a movie go for that kind of run.
Yeah, it's gonna fall 39.6% down to 19.4 million, coming in second place.
Still a filthy amount of money.
It's gonna lose out to the number one movie that weekend, Dawn of the Dead, with 26.7.
Ice. That's right. That's right. Jesus. Move over for another zombie.
Oh God.
Bam, 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 bam.
Five Hail Marys, sir. That's-
I don't even know if I remember my.
yeah, we don't, I mean, you don't need to do them now. You gotta,
I wasn't going to.
like every good Catholic, you gotta go sit in the
I
pew in shame and say them to yourself.
no,
Like,
I get on my knees by the side of my bed. I have my rosary beads that I whip myself in the back like Paul Bettany from the Da Vinci Code.
yeah, yeah,
It's the only way to repent.
absolutely. All right, moving on to weekend five. It's gonna drop 35.1%. I don't think we've seen a drop above 40% yet,
The
right?
drops have been stupid good.
The drops
And I
have
mean,
been stellar.
we got to be approaching Easter too, man. Like I can only I'm waiting to see that jump back up, that positive, because I know
Yeah,
it's
I don't.
coming.
We're right now we're in the weekend of March 26th to the 28th. So we probably have like unless
One
Easter is
more week.
early this year, we probably have a few more weeks coming before it comes, yeah. Um yeah, it's going to be down in third though with 12.6 million.
It's raking it in.
Behind another episode we've done Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed and The Lady Killers.
God.
Weekend. Let's keep fishing here for Easter weekend. Weekend six, 15.8% drop down to 10.6 million. It's in fifth place.
It's absurd.
You know what? Hold on.
Gotta be Easter weekend. Like a 12% drop. Like that's gotta be Easter weekend.
Well, I'm also wondering if like I don't think it's gonna be. Usually Easter is not until like the end of April. So I'm
Yeah,
looking that up really quick.
but Ash Wednesday seemed very early for this, right? Like Ash Wednesday is not usually
Yeah, it's you. I think it's like from Ash Wednesday. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be 40 days,
yeah,
right?
it's 40 days and 40 nights. I saw the Josh Hartnett movie.
But then when does the 40 days, the 40 days and 40 nights, I don't think end on Easter, do they? Don't they end on Palm Sunday?
Oh yeah, they do.
Right? So like there's like Palm Sunday and
I
then
uh
there's
I don't know. I couldn't tell you every Sunday is Palm Sunday for me. I'll
yeah,
be here
that's
all
right.
week.
That's right. When in doubt, just say it's there. You're always about the palms. That's why you don't know what it is. Every day is Palm Sunday.
Every day is Palm Sunday for me,
So I checked. Easter
especially at
is
14.
yeah, Easter is gonna be Sunday, April 20th.
Oh, okay, all right. So we got a few weeks still left.
My guess is that on Easter this is gonna jump back up to number one,
Oh,
like
Easter was on
that weekend.
420 that year. Damn, big
Yeah.
big year that year.
Wow, God works in mysterious ways.
He's like, and then the stoners shall come to me on the seventh day.
Yeah,
Once upon a time they stoned me with rocks. Now they stone me with love.
they'll come down from on high. All right. Uh,
We're gonna have a million of those tonight.
yeah, can't
Buckle
wait.
in, buckaroos.
So in that weekend six, we talked about the 15.8% drop. It's down in fifth place. Let's just keep following Passion of the Christ. I don't want to talk about the rest of these weeks.
We've talked
All
about
right.
a lot of those movies ad nauseum already.
So the weekend of April 9th through the 11th. This is when I think Lent is starting to get into like full swing. I don't remember. Do you remember Advent? I think that
Advent.
was an Easter thing, or was that a Christmas thing? I can't remember.
So Advent is when I just complain about my problems. Advent is when I complain about commercials, right?
Right. Yeah, I think you got it. I think you got it. Yeah.
I'm there. I
Um,
remember.
Now, I
No,
haven't thought about this in a
I
long
don't
time.
remember Advent. You say it, and I remember the term, but I couldn't tell you what it means.
I'm pretty sure there's something special about the last couple of weeks leading up to Easter. Like it's like a whole thing, right?
When you like up your
Um,
prayers.
all that to say, in weekend seven, Passion of the Christ is going to jump back up to the number one spot. It is going to have a 43.5% increase.
Yeah, see, like it's already starting.
Right. It pulls in 15.2 million, and we're still only on April 9th through the 11th. We're still 2 weeks away from Easter. Maybe 3 weeks away from Easter?
So in Christian theology, Advent is the coming or second coming of Christ.
Right. So maybe Advent's for Christmas then. I don't remember.
That sounds more right because there's usually what the Advent calendars that like count down.
The Advent wreath, sir. We used to have an Advent wreath. And every week there was 4 candles, and you would do it for 4 weeks, and every week you would light another candle.
It sounds like you're just raining on the Jews parade. Like, well, you're just stealing their thunder. The candles is their thing.
I mean, I don't know if you saw The Passion of the Christ, but what is Christianity if it's not raining on the Jews parade?
That's
Like,
true. Yeah. If Mel Gibson had his way,
that's kind of their whole bag, yeah. Like,
it's kind of our thing.
I mean, well, don't say R, buddy. I'm not. I don't subscribe to that. I don't believe in that. That's messed up. I'm just saying, the movie was pretty clear, I think. uh,
Anyway,
yeah, it pulls in 15.2 million. And I know we'll get into the full totals later, but right now, through 7 weeks, it's at 353 million domestic.
third.
Crazy. For a
Nuts.
$30 million movie.
$1 million
Uh,
independent.
yeah, going into weekend 8, we are going to have a big drop here.
Dude, is this movie gonna get to double digits?
73.4%.
Ooh, that's big. Man, people were turning away for that one. They were like, you know what? We're waiting for Easter.
Down to $4 million. It's in 10th, on the
Ooh,
cusp.
oh man.
But it's
Can
also,
Jesus resurrect again?
yeah, it's also interesting though, because this is probably the first week I would say there's actually some movies that seem like they would be box office movies a little bit, you know? Like the opening movie this week is Kill Bill
Kill Bill
Volume
Volume 2.
2.
I feel yeah. So I guess what we're saying is that there's actually competition now.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, like Kill Bill Volume 2 doesn't do great either. It only pulls in 25.6. And then in second place, I mean, The Punisher,
Hmm.
only pulls in
Questionable.
14 million, but this would have been like John Travolta was in it, and this would have been a movie that I think was marketed pretty heavily, if I remember correctly. So, but anyway, it's Passion of the Christ is all the way down in 10th, and we're
Oh
getting
man.
there. I think. Wait a second. Hold
You mess
on.
yourself up. Is this Easter
I
weekend?
definitely messed myself up. Do you know what Easter I looked up?
What this year, dickhead?
Yeah. Oh
All
boy.
right. So that
Okay.
12% that 12%
So
increase was
let's
definitely
rewind here
Easter
for a
weekend.
second. That big jump was Easter weekend. Yeah, April April 9th through the 11th was Easter weekend. That's why it
Oh
jumped
man.
43.5%. That
Amazing.
makes a lot more sense.
There you go. There you go, guy. You got there in the end.
And in case you were wondering, April 20th, 2025 is Easter.
Yeah,
So
for all you people out there doing your Lent right now,
I thought I had put the year in, but
all you
upon
good
further review.
Christians.
um, and then that drop also
Makes
makes a
yeah,
lot more
that drop
sense.
makes way more sense now. Easter's over. They're like,
Easter's
find me at
over.
Christmas time, man. We don't care
Yeah,
about you anymore.
the
They're like Andy
Catholics are back
dropping.
to their everyday lives. They've
Yeah,
moved on from
yeah.
this for
They're
another 6 months.
they're like Andy in Toy Story, just dropping Woody. I don't want to play with you
Yeah,
anymore.
right, right. So yeah, 10th place with 73.4% drop. And finally, in weekend 9, it drops down to 11th. 45.3% drop down to 2.2 million.
Still, what a absolute dominating run. 8 weeks, gonna join a bevy of big 8 week hitters there, like Spider-Man, Signs, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and Seabiscuit.
Wow. Wow. What great company.
Yeah, what a collection, what a group to be a part of.
And then just some totals. It finishes with 370.3 million domestic.
What? Dude,
Two,
that's
it's huge. Where do you have where that is domestically?
yeah, dude. Domestically, it's no, that's number 6 of all time. That's fucking insane. Six all time,
Insane.
just behind the Lord of the Rings 370, but ahead of the Two Towers 339.8. Like
Yeah,
insane.
crazy. International 241.2 million for a worldwide total of 611.5.
So it's filthy. That's just absolutely filthy. That sits in the number 14 spot of all time worldwide, just behind the Lost World Jurassic Park's 618.6, but ahead of Armageddon's 553.7. Also beats out another Roman tale, Gladiator, with 503.1.
Yeah. Because I'm glad you brought up Gladiator, because I think we talked a little bit about this in the Gladiator episode, but every sword and sandal movie basically rips off this story for the rest of time, where it's like a guy who's just like the bee's knees, like Christ-like figure who takes on Rome, you know?
And it's tried and tested for a reason, Jim. Like there's a reason the text hasn't changed so much since the Old
Yeah,
Testament.
yeah. But no, pretty stellar box office run, which again, worth reminding, $30 million budget and a movie that no studio would touch with a 10-foot pole.
It's insane. And that 612 is the highest R-rated grossing movie of all time at that time. And it kept it until Deadpool and Wolverine beat it last year in 2024. So like that's
Jesus.
an insane record to hold on to for that long.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts. I mean,
And I
you're
don't
talking about like 20 years.
yeah, yeah. And I don't see now any other movie other than another Deadpool breaking it because Deadpool and Wolverine did like 1.3 billion.
Yeah, and I mean the box office is like basically dead in general at this point.
Come on, come on. We can come back.
Yeah, I don't know, dude.
We can live again, Jim.
I don't know. The Mickey 17 did not go well.
Yeah, Novocaine had a
Novocaine did not
very,
go well.
very
It went
tough
even
weekend this
worse.
weekend. It's tough. It's tough. But we're not looking at the present. We're looking at the past, Jim.
Yeah, yeah, we're looking at the past.
And we talked about it a little bit before. Bit of a controversial movie when it came out. I don't know if you knew this,
Yeah.
Jim, but Christ, bit of a controversial figure.
Yeah, kind of a
So,
hot button issue.
yeah, bit of a hot topic. But I mean, this was 2004. I think they figured it out by now. Like we're it's a lot easier now in 2024. People are a lot more open-minded, a lot easier when dealing with Christ. But back then, critics were a little all over the place with this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
50% from the critics, but an 80% from the audience. The
Wow.
God-fearing Christians out there, big on this movie.
The silent majority.
Yes. It's 7.2 from IMDb. And Jim, the holy ground, an A plus cinema score.
A plus.
Yeah, I'm gonna add this to the things that I'm gonna add to our box office charts here. I want to make a tab for the cinema score where we can chart the movies that have gotten each score also because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
need to see what other company Passion is keeping in the A plus community because
I
it's
mean,
an insane feat.
I think it's gonna be like pretty tough to. I don't know that anybody else is gonna get there because how many movies like cinema score is all about like audience sentiment when they leave the movie, right? Like it's not necessarily thinking about box office. It's just thinking about
Or
what did
like
people think.
yeah, your gut reaction of the people first leaving the theater.
Yeah, I think Passion of the Christ has a big advantage because there's not a lot of movies that you can see where they're like, by the way, the main character died for your sins. Like,
Yeah,
it's like, you
yeah.
gotta leave being like, all right, that was pretty cool of him, you know? Like, I'm glad
Especially
you
when
did that, I guess.
especially when you have the like cinema score people catching you as you're walking out. They're like, "What do you think?" And you didn't want to be like the you're just like A plus, of course A plus. Like God died for my sins. Like how can it not be A plus? Like I'm not gonna
Greatest
be
story
the
ever told.
you gotta go back to the car. Your wife is like, "But you told me you hated it." He's like, "I'm not gonna say it to him."
You kidding me?
Are you crazy? I'm only
Oh
gonna say
man.
that. I'm only gonna say that when I'm doing confession next week.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's the only movie where the main character is a literal martyr. Like, it's like, how are you not gonna give it an A plus? Like,
You don't. You go to confession that weekend. You're like, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I gave Passion of the Christ a C plus cinema score."
yeah, yeah.
My son, I'm terrible events here. You're gonna need to do 11 Hail Marys for that.
Much like how some movies that I give a four get the Dr. Dolittle award, I think that there's a level of guilt involved in this A plus. Like the Passion of the Christ A plus award is like, if you saw a movie about like orphans and you leave, you're not gonna give it like a C. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
You just feel God standing over your shoulder when you give that cinema
right.
score review.
Right. He's always watching, but
Always, always.
especially when they're
Yeah.
collecting the cinema
Yeah.
scores for Passion of the Christ.
Especially after Passion of the Christ, he's watching. It's not often he gets a big movie like this. So he's
I'm just,
watching. He's checking
I'm
in.
picturing, I'm picturing like as if it's like a stage dad. Like he's like, come on, what'd you think of my son's movie? Like he was pretty good,
He's
right? He was great in it.
You could see him in the clouds, like the girl at the end of Van Helsing. Like you just walk out, you look
Yeah,
up, and he's
right.
there. You're like, A plus, man.
Yeah.
Top notch. I'm sorry.
Somebody gave it a B and he's like wagging his finger at them in the class.
He's like, you want the frogs? I'll give you the frogs.
Yeah, the locusts.
Yeah.
You thought the movie was bad. Wait till you see the locusts.
You see some of the sick shit I did in the Bible? Like, you want to give that a B? All right. It's on
Yeah,
you.
right. There's like some kind of coercion going on here
Yeah,
at like
yeah.
a what's the word? Like a
Biblical
subconscious
level.
level.
Yeah, at a biblical level. It's sitting
Yeah,
inside you.
right, right.
Now, Jim, we got some user reviews.
Oh boy. This is like man oh man, I cannot wait.
Yeah, and if you ever thought in the history of us doing user reviews that people were going to have some thoughts, let me tell you, Jim, people had
Yeah,
some thoughts.
I mean, people are crazy about reviewing like Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. I can only imagine what Passion of the
Yeah,
Christ is going to be
but
like.
now, Jim, if there was any bit of a surprise here that I can give at you, if there was any time where the 10-star people were going to be more insane than the 1-star people, it would be this movie.
Yeah, that's what actually happened, right?
Oh yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
can't, I cannot even imagine,
Oh,
dude. I am
oh
so
yeah.
hyped up.
Oh yeah. So let's dive into these bad boys.
Let's do it. Can't
So
wait.
our first 1-star review, and they write, any message in this movie was blurred by 2 agonizing hours of blood and gore. In the Bible, it is said that before he is crucified, Jesus is taken down and flogged, which 2,000 years ago consisted of 39 lashings. In Mel Gibson's rendition, Jesus is flogged hundreds of times by whips and nails and spikes to the point where 2 of his rib bones were exposed, and his blood sprayed, spattered, and slung in a crimson circle about 15 feet in diameter. Violence and gore is the name of the game in this movie, but none come close to the degree that the Passion shows off. If you think you won't be sickened by Passion because you have seen films like The Exorcist and Schindler's List, you are mistaken. Passion makes those movies look like Saturday morning cartoons. Unless you have no soul or feelings inside you at all, this movie will haunt you. Passion won't stir your faith or warm your heart. It will turn your stomach and give you nightmares.
Yeah, has this guy, I mean, I take it this guy never went to Catholic church. It's not, it's that's the whole point, is to like horrify you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, the guilt is the name of the game, my friend.
yeah. They're not trying to be like, they're not trying to be like, isn't God amazing? Let's have faith. They literally have like a 20-foot statue of the guy hanging on the cross in the back of the whole thing at all times.
like, listen, milk and cookies are for Santa. This is Jesus we're talking
Right,
about.
right, exactly.
It's absolutely insane. We have our next person here, and they write, Jim, this is a new word for me too. So before you even say it, I will say I don't know this word. They write
Oh boy.
shame and truculent.
Truculent?
Truculent. Truculent. And before you
I've
look it
heard
up,
that word, but it doesn't feel like they used it right.
they did not, because the definition of it is aggressively defiant. So
Okay.
I don't know. So what they're saying is shameful and aggressively defiant.
I
Okay.
guess so. I mean, I get okay. I could
But that
okay. I'm sort of
like
seeing it.
aggressively defiant seems like more for a 10-star reviewer than a 1-star reviewer.
Yeah, right, right. It
Like
seems
that
like a
seems
good
more
thing.
pro for this,
Yeah.
like in this movie's defense than against. They continue. A very good director doesn't need to show all those bloody details. Gibson is an amateur. The worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Disgusting, insulting for Hebrew and Romans. Hope. I've born and I still live in Rome, seat of Roman Catholic Church. I'm
Oh, here we
ashamed
go.
for the way the clergy has appreciated this movie. Shame on the Catholic Church.
Such a great angle to be like, I was born and live in Rome, and the way they treat the Romans in this movie, let me tell you, it's like,
If there's anyone that's got a bad rap, it's the Romans.
yeah.
Oh, good. So good. We'll continue on. We got another one here. Their one-star review goes, the film is orgiastic in its unrelenting violence. As a Catholic, I found it disturbing that the Passion could be portrayed so out of context of his ministry, as well as his majesty. While Gibson keeps saying he wanted to portray it accurately, it's obvious that he chose to foist his own sadomasochistic bent and pervert the divine. He rallied against the detractors, and yet the merits of the film are extremely suspect. I can only call it an abomination since it will only appeal to those who enjoy violence at this level and as long as it is devoid of context. Gibson may have only meant it for Christians who already know that context. However, to leave it out entirely because it is convenient to those who think we need to narrow this view of what happened to jog our memories as to who Jesus died for, they need more than just the visuals, which this film cannot deliver. Gibson and his media machine made it controversial. He needed it to be controversial because it was the way to promote a mediocre but ambitious attempt. Never mind the merchandising that follows.
Wait, did they
Good-hearted
have?
I don't
Did
think
they
this
have?
movie had merchandising.
Yeah, I was like, did they have
Like,
Passion of the Christ like McDonald's toys?
that's
Like,
what I'm
I don't
saying.
remember that.
Like the way she pitches it makes it seem that there was like passion plushies, like
Yeah, like Mel Brooks and like Spaceballs, like
they
merchandising.
were selling you like crucifix popsicle sticks, like
Yeah, right, right.
they,
Which, by the way, that would be a pretty sweet popsicle.
that
Somebody
would
should
be a
get
pretty
on that. Like, it's got a handle and then like three directions of popsicle.
it would be that would be immaculate. And then they just finish with it accomplishes nothing but glorifies not God but Mel Gibson, given the
I
hard
mean,
call out.
I don't know if I would agree like on the 1 star, but I do agree with something that they're saying, which is like this out of context of the whole story is like pretty wild to watch. Like,
Yeah. We got this next person. Very, very quick and simple, but they have a great one. They go, this is just another slasher film. Check that. A 30 million snuff film. The Jesus Chainsaw Massacre. Good Friday the 13th. Take your pick.
nice. I kind of want like 5 more.
Great, great review. Great review. Honestly, I'd watch the Jesus Chainsaw Massacre. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, the Good Friday the 13th is really funny too.
It's top notch right there. And then we have one more 1 star review here. And they write, is this what religion is? What's the point?
Kinda.
What's the point here? It's funny, but I tend to focus more on the inspirational nature of Christ and his message of love and forgiveness. Yet this movie focuses only on pain and death. Welcome to religion, buddy. Far from being a moving experience, I only found this film to be disgusting. In essence, this film subverts what Christ came to teach rather than affirming it. Well, aside from that, the acting was well done, and there were many technical areas of the film which should be applauded. Too bad they were ultimately wasted on a film which should have been rated NC-17 due to its pornographically violent nature. To be honest, I feel like I learned more from Finding Nemo than there ever is to learn from this over-the-top bloodletting spectacle.
I mean, they're kind of cooking at the end there. Like, Finding Nemo has a lot more lessons in it.
I mean, and what is Finding Nemo if not a modern-day parable of Jesus Christ?
I mean, like you mean like one he would tell, right? Not like somebody in Finding Nemo is Jesus Christ.
Marlin is Jesus Christ.
Yeah. No, that's
All of his children.
no, Marlin is God because he had to learn to let go of his son, like that
Oh
was the
yeah,
only
he
way
had
to
to
get
let
him
he had to
to
let
come
his children
back.
he had to let his children experience life.
Yeah. Yeah. Turns out it didn't go so good for Godson. He had a rough go of it there.
Yeah, Marlin did just a teeny bit better.
Yeah, yeah.
Nemo didn't have to fucking horrifically die on a
Right.
fishing line at the end of the movie.
Nemo just was allowed to take the bus to school at the end. That was
Yeah.
like,
There's just a big shot of Nemo on a fishing hook at the end, just being lifted up out of the sea.
oh my god, horrendous. I never needed to think about that.
That's what I'm here for, Jim. And we got some 10-star reviews for you, my friend. And here we go. Our first person writes, You may have an experience like this in a movie theater once in a lifetime. I haven't been able to take those images out of my mind. What an incredible achievement. It works in so many different levels that it would be impossible to list them. It touched me in a way no film has touched me. It provokes such a degree of hatred around my neck of the woods that it goes to prove how the devil reacts to holy water. Most people I spoke to in Los Angeles made up their minds about this film before actually seeing it. What's that about? At the end of the day, Mel Gibson had the last laugh, or the right to have it, although I don't believe that he is laughing. He seems to be unafraid, fueled by his faith and convictions, a man of his word. That in itself must confuse the hell out of Hollywood. All religious considerations to one side, this is an artistic masterpiece. You may agree or disagree, but why not to make up your own mind?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that one had like a couple of funny like pot shots at Los Angeles where it was just like that reads like somebody who's never been to Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? Like like
Yeah,
that's just how it struck me. Somebody who like talks about places they've never been, like they're the most evil place in the world.
for sure. That just screams like a person who lives in like the Bible Belt that's never like left outside of their like town.
Right, right. Like that, like they quoted that like
Yeah,
word for word from like their preacher's sermon last
yeah.
Sunday, and he's
Those
like, "In Los
Hollywood,
Angeles, they never gave that movie a chance."
yeah, those Hollywood pedophiles
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
in their Satanistic Cabo. We got our next.
they don't have an ounce of the morals that Mel Gibson has in his pinky finger.
He out there teaching the truth.
Yeah, it's also crazy to just like it blows my mind how if you just say something people agree with or make something they like, the amount, like the lengths they'll go to like, what did that guy say about Mel Gibson in that review? He was
He said that
like,
Mel Gibson had the last laugh or the right to have it.
yeah, no, but like he was like saying like how much conviction he
Yeah,
had
yeah.
and how he
Fueled by
like
his yeah, fueled by his faith and convictions, a man of his word.
yeah, right. It's like how do you know that from
Yeah,
watching The Passion of the
yeah.
Christ that Mel Gibson is a man of his word? Like it's just amazing if you make something that people relate to, the like the amount of credit they'll give you in every walk of like every aspect of life.
I mean, hey, just look at who the president is. What? Come on.
Like they
Come
see
on.
Passion of the Christ and they're like, that Mel Gibson, he's a real stand-up
Yeah.
guy. Like,
He's welcome in my home for dinner any day of the week.
yeah, right.
Twice on Sunday.
Exactly.
The door is always open. We got our
And
next
then like
person
I'm
here.
pretty sure the next 3 years, like we all learn like in like pretty heavy detail that Mel Gibson maybe not so stand-up in some parts of his life.
Yeah, go figure. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that somebody you never met in your life doesn't hold up in the manner that you think he does?
Yeah, right, right.
Never would have saw that coming.
Yeah.
Our next reviewer, they write, Mel Gibson's portrayal of Jesus and those who loved him during those last few hours is breathtaking. His portrayal of Satan is also quite interesting. It should be a woman. Haven't you had any dealings with them? I myself am a woman, and I thought that was a pretty good idea, along with the maggot. This movie will make you a better Catholic, Christian, whatever. It made me believe that even if the viewer doesn't think this man is the Messiah, he did suffer ever so much for a cause that he believed in. That is enough for me. You might think that he was just some nut or probably didn't exist at all, but the fact of the matter is that this is a historically documented tale about someone whose belief was larger than life itself. Go see this movie. Oh, and about whether or not it's anti-Semitic, read the Bible. It's not Mel's fault. Dear
Oh my
God.
God.
Dear God, lady. Like,
Holy shit.
first off, that woman agreed that Satan should be portrayed by a woman. Haven't you had any dealings with them? Already insane way to start.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
really insane. Yeah.
really insane. And then to double down on the anti-Semitism, like
Just like that was like one of the craziest things I've ever heard anybody say. Like when you were like, and for the people who say this movie is anti-Semitic, I thought she was gonna have some like rebuttal or something to that.
she was just
And
like,
instead
nope.
she was just like, listen, the whole religion's anti-Semitic. Have you read the Bible? What are you gonna do? Like
Like, listen,
that was so insane.
Like that's the craziest case of it is what it is that I've ever heard in my life.
Right, right. It's just like total insanity.
Yeah, just like absolutely insane. Like some people are just they're just nuts.
Yeah.
This is like some people are so nuts.
Still, these people are pretty crazy, but they're still not quite as crazy as some of the other people we had. So I'm
Well, I mean,
interested to see if that's even worse.
well, no one's banished anyone to a moon yet or a deep dark cave, so
Right, right.
there's at least that.
We're about 20 years too soon
Yeah.
for them to be openly calling
Yeah.
for that. But
Although
yeah.
if you ask the previous lady, like she would be like, "Well, the Jews banished Jesus to a cave."
Yeah, right, right. She'd be like, wait, like in the most passive aggressive way possible, would be like, for those who say it's anti-Semitic, well, yeah, like that's
Yeah, like
basically what she said.
crazy people. We got our next person here, and they write, "Everybody's so quiet," my dad said after we finished the film. Well, what do you say to something like that? My mom asked. What do you say to a film like this? Let's
I'll
look at
take
this.
things that never happen for 1,000, Alex.
Let's look at this film from the perspective of a simple moviegoer with no religious background, no concept of who Jesus really is. The acting is flawless, the directing masterful, the gore convincing, the story heart-wrenching. This is truly a masterful film. Now let's look at this film from the perspective of a Bible-believing Christian. There are some things in it that the Bible does not say happened,
Sorry,
but it
I'm
does
pretty sure
not
we were
say,
already doing that. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure that's where we started.
but it does not say that these things didn't happen either. It is
Ah,
amazing thing to sit there and watch the Romans tearing Jesus's back apart and realize this was my sin. I did this. It is amazing and convicting to see Jesus on the cross crying, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" and realize that my sin put him there. There were parts during this movie when I was sobbing and saying, "God, I did this. Oh God, my sin put him there." Granted, it wasn't only my sin, but every time the hammer pounded, I cringed, realizing that my sin helped put the nails in those hands.
yeah. Yep, I'll take things that probably also didn't happen for 1,000,
Uh,
Alex.
That's like an
But also, like,
insane take, bro. Like,
that's what we were just saying earlier. Yeah, it's like the whole thing is about guilting you, you know? Like it's like that's
yeah, making
if
me
you
feel
drew
bad
up
for something I had no part in doing. Like,
right, if you drew up like Mel Gibson's ideal audience response, my guess would be it would be pretty close to that review you just read, where you're supposed to be like, "Oh my God, he did that for me. I gotta like do something back. Like I owe the guy." Like,
it's insane. It's like, bro, I wasn't even there.
yeah, and it happened so long ago.
Why are you putting this shit on me? I wasn't there.
Yeah, seriously. But no, that's the whole thing. Yeah, that's why they have the 20-foot statue of him in the back the whole time. You know.
Just absolutely, absolutely nuts. We got one last one here, and they write, "Never has a movie left me in so much self-disgust. As I sit there watching it, I hated myself for all the sins that I have committed. This man loved me so much that he died for me. When Mary goes to the temple to see her son's trial, she wrote trail, but she meant trial. I'll give her the benefit of
Okay.
the doubt there. And she says that this must happen. I bawled. She loved her son so much, and yet she gave him up so that we might live. And the scene after his death when she holds him, beautiful. I bawled when she went to her son after he fell, and he tells her that he comes to make all things new. Satan is well done and made me scared. When I came home, I cried myself to sleep, thanking God for loving me so much. And I also thank you, Mel, for making a movie that left my spirit weeping."
I
Like,
actually
it's like unreal.
I read this review previous to the episode, and I was able to get in contact with the person who like left the review. So I actually have like an audio clip of their reaction to when Mary was like giving him up so that we could live. Just the sheer pain, like that you can feel it like coming through the speakers, right?
Their pain tears me in two. Like, my God, man. I gotta say too. So her son's trail was also it's a tough trail. Like, but he walked it.
It was pretty tough.
Tough
There was
trail.
a lot of bumps in that road.
Like, yeah, it was a tough trail, but was it the Appalachian Mountains? Like, come on, like,
Yeah, yeah. I
come on.
actually, I
Rome
have
ain't
a
that
clip
hilly,
like
right?
I have a an interview from the halftime show where Jesus talked about like him like bringing like when he was carrying his cross,
Gonna get you close, my friend, but not too close, eh?
and that's why he needed that guy to help him go the rest of the way. He was like he had a long way to go. He could only get us so close.
You can only get us there. But all right, Jim, let's turn it over to us. Where do you fall on this movie? Is pornographic gore to this movie wept me to sleep? I was so swept up in Jesus's love for me.
I mean, as usual, I'm somewhere in between those two extremes, right? Um, I will say that this is like a weird thing for me because I do think that like the story of Jesus Christ, whether you think it's real or not, is very good, right? Like I do think like there's a lot of like cool narrative hooks there. I think there's a reason why it's a story we still tell today, even though people have been telling it for a long time. Like generally things that stick around for that long, like it's for a reason, right? Um, but with this movie in particular, there was something that really jumped out at me about like basically the whole thing and really the first hour specifically, which is like this is the end of a story. It's not a story. It's like
Yep.
this is like how the story of Jesus ends. And like this is really like this whole movie to me is like the last half hour of a movie. That's how I look at it.
Oh, absolutely. I would completely agree with that because there's really no next to no plot, no narrative
No.
plot to this. It's just you're gonna watch this dude suffer in the last 12 hours of his life.
Yeah. And what I talk about all the time is how like no matter what your movie's about and no matter where in a sequence of movies it is, what I desperately want you to do is tell a full story just in that movie so that I can watch like if I don't know anything about anything else you're doing, right? I should be able to and I want to be able to put your movie on and get a full beginning, middle and end experience. And like what this movie does is kind of like expects you to already know a lot of the context, which I think makes sense because the context is so widespread. But at the same time, it's I think something that's a failure for this as a movie.
Well, I could even go into this knowing all of that stuff about the story of Jesus, but that doesn't make this movie any better. I still need a narrative beginning, middle, and end in a movie,
Right.
regardless of how much I know about this story going into it. And that's what
Right.
this movie just absolutely fails to do. And even its usage of flashbacks under like doesn't add anything to an actual beginning, middle, or an overarching like arc for
The flashbacks are entirely nonsensical. They
it.
mean absolutely nothing.
There's zero
Like,
reason. They're literally just there to break up the like horrific
right.
like sequences of like blood curdling violence in this movie.
Right. Right.
Um,
People need a breather from that stuff. They
it-
can't do it for a full hour straight. Like
and
it's not
yeah,
possible.
and I've watched a lot of movies in my life. It's not like I'm squeamish to violence. I've watched a
No,
lot of
no.
violent movies. And
To
this
the point
movie
where
is just
I
like
would say that a lot of our reviews were like clutching their pearls a little bit. I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as some of those people were making it out to be. But keep
no,
going.
it's
Sorry, I
I
didn't
mean
mean to
it
interrupt you.
I will say, like, it is violent in just its unrelenting. And I think what makes it feel worse is that there's nothing to grasp onto it. Like, I'm literally just watching someone be tortured for zero. Like, I've got no heart in this because you've done nothing to like set up anything in this movie. I'm literally just watching a dude get the shit kicked out of him for like the
Yeah.
entire movie and I'm just like, this is brutal. And not brutal like what I'm seeing is brutal that you're just making me sit through this. Like,
Yeah. I honestly, all I could think about during the scene when he's getting whipped is I was like, man, me and Pontius Pilate have very different definitions of the word chastise. Like we
Yeah.
have like I was like I was like that's a chastising like holy shit. Like,
Yeah, when they bust out the one with like razor blades on the thing, like
yeah,
it's
and
like
they like
why, like why do we need this? Like,
yeah.
what
I
does this
mean, I
add
don't
to the story? Like,
again, I think that that scene can work in a movie, and I think it's really visual, and I think it's honestly really well shot and really well done. The problem is, I like if I was an alien and didn't know anything about any of this, if I turned it on, I have no emotional investment in what's happening. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
Like
it's the
the,
end of a story.
if
It's like I need to know why he's there and what he's standing up for, and I need to be bought into it for
like
that scene to work.
Mel Gibson had decided to be like, I'm going to make like a 3 hour epic or whatever of Jesus's life, and did like his whole thing. That whole ending shit would hit
Yeah,
so
right.
hard
It
because
would be
I'm
a
with you.
hundred times better.
This movie is like Mel Gibson is a competent director. The dude knows how to stage scenes. Like the movie looks good, is like well made. Like I have no issues from like the production aspect of the movie, but just from the storyline of the movie, like I didn't care about anything in this movie because like again like it makes so much sense watching this movie now, especially that you've built up the whole like religion is just guilting you, because that's
Yeah,
what this whole movie feels. It's like
yes,
there's no story. It just wants you to feel bad for like what this guy died for. Like, hey, he
right,
died, like he went through all of this so that you could sin around, and you're just supposed
right.
to sit there and be like, man, am I a piece of shit? Like,
Yeah, it's not, it's powerful imagery, but it's not powerful imagery in service of a movie. It's powerful imagery in service of your sermon on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
it's I think what I had said in an earlier episode was I think I'm gonna have preferred it in stained glass window form, you know what I mean? Because like
Yep.
we talked about the church we went to like earlier in the episode. They did have like panels of stained glass windows that were
Like
all the stages of the cross,
yeah,
right? Which is like a thing.
the 12-step program.
Yeah, the 12-step program, exactly. And they're depicting these same things, and they're powerful, and they're cool, and they're art, right?
Yeah.
But like they're not evoking the same things that the scenes in this movie are, right? And like that's to me the thing that rubs me the wrong way about it the most is again, like it's not a movie. It's just a way for me to actually visualize the things that they've been telling me at church every Sunday, which is like okay, fine, you know, like sure. Let me pose a hypothetical to you here really quickly
Okay.
that fits with what we're talking about. If you make the last hour of this movie the end of Braveheart, doesn't it work so well? like, like, that's all I kept thinking was like, yeah, like if you did this in a movie like Braveheart, where I like am totally bought in on the main character and I've seen him do things in this movie that are like above and beyond great and he's a total hero and I see him go to bat for the ideal of freedom and this is what happens like it's insane, you know what I mean? Like so I don't know, but what that hypothetical, would you take the end of Braveheart as it is or would you make this movie the end of Braveheart?
This movie was the end of Braveheart, it would break my heart.
Yeah, exactly. It would
Like
be
that,
amazing.
yeah, it would be insane because like the imagery is stark and it does hit you, and this is unrelenting, but without like the actual bits of like getting me in here and getting me caring within the framework of the movie, I just don't care. And like I get what like people are out there saying, like the opposite to that is like, well, you know the story of Jesus Christ. You should just care, like you know. And it's like, yeah, but I'm here to watch a movie. Like I'm watching a movie. Like you need to give me the goods in a movie. Like, and this movie
Yeah.
do that. Like
And what I'll say is that I think for a lot of people it would be enough. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that you know the box office and the like
reflects
all
that.
the talk about this movie at the time reflects that. but as me and you, just like movie heads, it's not enough, you know?
It's not enough. Um, One thing this movie does that I hate, and it's not this movie's not the only offender. A lot of movies do this. I hate movies that take place in the past but are made in the future. So they take a thing that they know is going to be popular
Oh
and
my
then
God.
hype it up. When Jesus makes the high table and Mary
Yeah.
comes and sits at it, and he's like, "Yeah,
Mary's
it's a
like,
high table. There'll be
tables.
high chairs," and she just goes, "This will never catch on." And it was
Yeah.
like, "Fuck you!" Like it was
Yeah.
like I groaned. I was like,
I
"Why would
yeah.
you put this in here? Like, why
It
is
was
that
like
here?"
the quickest way for me to not take any of this seriously, where it was just like, are you kidding me? In this movie that's in here? Like,
I was
no
like, "You're
way.
fucking throwing one of those in here? Like, you're gonna have
Yeah.
Mary
Like,
making fucking high table jokes? Like,
Mary's like, ha, tables. And people aren't gonna want tables. What are you, nuts?
he just goes, "They'll sit at high chairs," and she just smiles. That'll never catch on.
Yeah,
It's like,
ridiculous. Totally ridiculous.
so, so silly.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're kind of touching on something I hinted at a little bit earlier. What is with all the slow-mo in this movie, man?
Dude, if we ever meet Zack Snyder, we're gonna have to ask him if this movie is an inspiration for his entire career.
It's clearly some kind of influence because it is insane. That first like 15 minutes when he's getting caught and captured and everything, I could not believe how much slow-mo there was of people doing absolutely nothing. Like they were just standing there and it would be like this like long like 20-second shot of somebody just standing there and nothing was happening.
It's absolutely absurd. There's never a moment where they do it where it felt necessary.
No, never once. Like never once. It made it feel like almost soap opera-y in the level of drama it was trying to do, you know?
But yeah, Zack Snyder must have saw that 2004 and was like, "I'm gonna make that my whole career, baby."
Yeah, yeah. And like honestly, I think it kind of takes away from all of it at some point. Like this is something that I think movies, more recent movies do really well, which is like when something like some of the more violent scenes from this movie are happening, they really like cut out the music and they don't do the slow-mo. Like it's filmed like almost like in perfectly real time and it's maybe like a long like one shot. And that makes it feel so much more real. And when you're showing something that's like graphically violent like that, it's so much more jarring if it feels actually like reality to me, as opposed to like an epic like slow-mo shot of
Yeah.
Mary like crying as Jesus. It was like, dude, what is
So
going on? Like
so we need we
almost like I was questioning that they were taking it seriously, like the people who
yeah,
made the movie. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
So what you're saying is we need a modern director to remake this movie and do it all in a oneer.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
you're talking, right?
Could you imagine him from when he gets the crucifix to when they like lock him in and it's just a one take?
Yeah, be nuts. Be
That'd be
nuts.
insane. All right, get
Or at
Denny.
least
Get.
filmed like 1917 where if it's not
I
actually
was
like a
literally
one
just gonna
take,
say.
like they're
Yeah.
like making it seem like it
Yeah.
is, you know?
All right, get Sam Mendes on the phone.
Yeah.
We got an
Yeah.
exciting proposition for you. He's like, "Don't call
Yeah.
him again."
Remake The Passion of the
He
Christ.
just already hangs up. Hello? What? The
Oh
line
my
goes
God.
dead immediately. Um, so probably one of the biggest things to come out of this movie that really lends to its controversy is, we saw it a little bit in the reviews, but is the level of anti-Semitism
Oh boy.
in this movie. And did you have a takeaway from that? Did you feel I didn't when I watched this movie, I did my research after I watched this movie because I wanted to go in as blind as I could and then kind of do all my research afterwards. And
Yeah.
so that was one thing to notice. Like I didn't know that controversy of it being very anti-Semitic before watching it. I only like saw that in there. Not to say I didn't realize it while I was watching it, but I will say, like in the context of the movie, I could see it being taken either way. Like I can see why people feel that it is super anti-Semitic because yeah, it's very questionable at times. It's
Yeah.
definitely like, if not on the nose, like right on the line.
like just this is just what I saw in the movie without saying anything about my own personal opinions. The movie, like everybody and their mother is trying to not crucify Jesus. and, and for
Yep.
like a good like 45 minutes, the Jewish population is like, if you don't crucify Jesus, we are gonna riot.
Or like,
Like,
we'll fucking march to Julius Caesar himself.
right, right. They were so bloodthirsty for what many of the people watching the movie consider to be God. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to not at least like see it and sort of connect, like, or at least like you said, see how some people could connect those dots, right?
That and I'm with them. It's like, why? This is a very bold choice. This is a very bold maneuver. Why are we going? Like, this is just it's intense. Their
Yeah.
level of like everything they're doing
R-
in that movie.
right,
Yeah.
right. It's very intense, right?
Like, they even
And
have what's his name bring out like a dude who like raped children or whatever it was, and they're like, "Who do you want free?" And they're like, "Freedom!"
it's like it's Barabbas, and he's a murderer. I don't know that Barabbas raped
Or a
anybody,
murderer.
but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, Barabbas, like, which there's also like an old 50s movie that follows Barabbas too, I'm pretty sure. It's like after Barabbas
After
gets
they
like,
free him,
yeah, yeah, which I gotta look up the name, and I think
that would be
I haven't seen it in a while, and I would bet you would probably want to check it out.
that would be
Um,
interesting. It also
but
doesn't help everything surrounding Mel Gibson as a person.
right, well, it's also like I think one of the things that I can point to and say is like people when he made this movie were like, that's pretty anti-Semitic, and I think that guy might be anti-Semitic. And you know, he did the classic like, nah, come on, not me, you know what I mean? Like, and then like
Who,
not too
me?
long after
Who, me?
this, he was like getting pulled over for drunk driving and saying the Jews cause all the wars. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
it's
you.
like
Yep.
you guys might have been onto something.
Yeah.
Like,
Just like it's always the ones you suspect.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Like the proof was kind of in the pudding a little bit, and like I don't know, I obviously don't know Mel Gibson, but um, I don't want to use the word defend because that's definitely not what I'm trying to do. But what I could say is that if you assume this story is totally fiction, right? There's some interesting things happening there with like how something like the Roman Empire can really fuck with people who are oppressed, you know what I mean? And like there's something interesting there with like if you know a little bit more about the context, like when Jesus goes to Jerusalem before all this happens, he's like turning over tables at the temple, you know what I mean? Because the whole idea is that the people who were there have kind of like bastardized like what the whole thing is supposed to be about, you know what I mean? And part of the reason I think that this movie is hinting at why they're doing this is that they don't like that he's calling them out for their corruption, right? Like they're trying to get him before he can get them, kind of a thing. As Igor once said, do unto others before they do unto you, right? So like in a story that's entirely fiction, I think that that's like a really worthwhile angle of a story. You know what I mean? And if you have half a brain, when you read this in the Bible, you don't necessarily think that like the who matters as much as the what, right?
Yeah.
Like you say, yeah, like somebody doing that would definitely be evil. And then, you know, you never get to the point where you even have to think this, but if it comes up, your next thought might be, but yeah, that has nothing to do with Jewish people like now. You know what I mean? Like, um, if you don't have half a brain, you maybe never like make that next step. You know what I'm saying? So
Also,
like,
like the problem there too is that all of that stuff you just talked about, we never see in this movie at all. So there's never
right,
that context to build off of to have
right,
that other angle to use. It's literally
right.
just
The
like,
only the only thing we know about them is that they're Jewish. That's literally
Yeah.
it,
Like the
which
movie
doesn't help.
starts,
Doesn't
they
help.
roll up, they pay Judas, and they're like, "Let's go get him!" Like
Yeah.
it's like insane.
By the way, maybe my favorite scene in the whole movie is when Judas is getting like when those two little kids are like
Oh,
checking on Judas.
so bizarre. Yeah, like all the children are like chasing him through the desert. It was like, what
No,
is
no, no. Not even that part. When it's like right after I think
when
it's either right after he tries to give back the 30 pieces of silver and
when he, is he sitting outside? Yeah, he's like sitting outside of the temple, and the two
he's
kids
like
like come
laying
up.
in like a gutter and those two
Yeah,
kids come up and they keep like doing
they're
all
just like
these like
ripping
quick
on him.
cuts and their faces are like older and then younger and then like one of their eyes is all messed up. And then they start saying like, "Are you cursed? Like you cursed? Are you cursed?" And it's like, all right, come on, like a little on the nose, like.
Yeah. Well, if there's one thing this movie is, it's not subtle.
But that scene was like that was another point where I was like, they're like, are they? Is Mel Gibson really taking this seriously? Like, it was so silly.
I think my favorite shot is after Jesus, gets saved on the crucifix, and it cuts down to Satan in hell, and he's just screaming up at the camera as it just like zooms out. And he's like, "Ah!"
Yeah, I think that isn't that like the last shot of the movie. Like, it's like pretty close to it,
It's
if
pretty
not the
close to the
last.
last shot of the movie. No, because I think the last shot is after they put him in the cave, like when he's going to resurrect and disappear.
Yeah, coming in 2025, baby.
Yeah, yeah, the sequel. Yeah, can you
Passion
believe
of
that we're
Christ,
getting the
resurrection.
resurrection of the Christ?
I can believe it after Jim Caviezel had another hit on his hands with Sound of Freedom. I like almost could have bet a lot of money that they would bring it back.
Yeah, another dude who definitely is drinking the Kool-Aid with Mel Gibson, because Jim Caviezel, a man known for going around referring to himself still as Jesus Christ, like to
Yeah,
people that he deals with.
it's pretty insane. Yeah,
Pretty
like
nuts. Because if there's one thing I knew, Jesus Christ, like that man wasn't humble. That man, he came around and he told you,
yeah,
I'm Jesus
right,
Christ, baby.
right. Dude, that was another thing about this movie. He like very famously didn't tell you. Like I think a lot of times in the Bible when like people said, "Are you the son of God?" he would just be like, "I don't know, that's what you're saying. I'm not saying that," you know? Which again, maybe a little passive aggressive, but yeah, like that was kind of the whole point. Like he wasn't like shouting it from the mountaintops, you know what I mean? He wasn't like showing off miracles for people, you know? Like
It was it's a movie, that's for sure. Definitely just felt so insane watching it.
yeah.
'Cause
I
the
will
whole,
say also, like what all the stuff people were saying about the acting, I didn't see it. I don't
yeah,
think Jim
I
Caviezel
also
did anything special in this
yeah,
movie.
I also did not see it. I was like, I don't think one person in this movie could act their way out of a paper bag like this.
Yeah. I mean, like Monica Bellucci, I think was in there.
She's
Like
just
she
there
was
though.
like,
She doesn't do anything in the movie other than just like stand around and just look sad.
yep, yeah,
They don't do like she doesn't have anything to do in this movie. Like Jim Caviezel's the only one who does anything, and it's not that impressive. Like
no, not at all. There are some things I do like about this though, like slow-mo aside, because again, the slow-mo is very bad a lot of the time. I do think that like for lack of a less fancy word, the cinematography in this movie is great. Like it looks really good.
no, if,
Uh,
if if there's anything I can say pro, it's that the movie is well made, well shot, and
yeah,
well made.
well shot. Yeah, including all the scenes that people said were really violent. Like I don't know if it's just that we're more like desensitized to violence now than they were in 2004 for movies and TV. But I didn't think any of those scenes were like totally gut-wrenching. I thought they were actually like, I mean, this is gonna sound crazy, but like they were like really beautifully shot. Like they were really
Jesus,
powerful in the
Jim.
way that they were like really well done. Like they were, and
You
like
really
some of
like
that
the
is
way
like
they tortured Jesus Christ. That's
yeah,
what you
yeah,
said.
it was mwah, chef's kiss. No, but like that
I know
scene,
what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
that whipping scene is really well done. Like
Dude, when
really
when
well done.
when the razor blades catch on his rib cage and rip it out, I was like,
Yeah,
I like audibly out loud was like, fuck, dude. Like,
yeah. It was one of those like it was that was one of those moments it felt like where you were seeing a 3D movie. You know what I mean? Like you'd be like,
oh
"Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's the part where it would jump
Yeah.
out of the
You're like,
screen at me." Yeah.
that's the part where the glasses would be really good. All right, Mel, I think we should remaster this in 3D, put it back out in time for next Easter.
Yeah, but like that scene is really good. Like really good.
It is.
And like I don't know, I thought it was like I thought like this is one of those movies where like you could probably say every frame feels like a picture, you know?
At times, yeah, I think for the most part, it is at least for that way. That's my biggest pro is that the cinematography and the way that it's shot is very well done.
Yeah,
And
especially
that's
like that opening too, when he's first getting captured, like the color palette of that is so cool. Like there it's like all like drenched in this like really deep green. And then like this like the people have the torches and that's kind of like lighting up a few things, but it's like I don't know, it looked all very great to me. I thought it was all really like the look of it was really cool, I guess.
no,
Um
definitely looked. It was well made, and that's one thing you can always count on in a Mel Gibson movie is that like it will look good. Well,
yeah.
at
And I
least
mean
until he
like
made Flight Risk.
fair. I still haven't seen Flight Risk.
That's where we're checking out.
Yeah. Also, like I mean, obviously, like Jim Caviezel looked pretty beat up for a lot of this movie. I thought that shit all looked really realistic and like, yes, gory. You know, like almost like horror movie levels of gory. But you know, they did the job really well. You know.
Yeah, no, it was well made. I would say everybody on the production side of the movie at good work, makeup, hairstyle, all that stuff. You guys, good work. Mel Gibson writing, not so much.
Yeah, not a great screenplay. I would
Not
agree.
yeah, not a great screenplay. Definitely
It's
shouldn't have
like
been you writing it.
it's a sad story because I think if you made this movie differently, it could be really great. You know.
It should just be like a Ben Hur long tale. Like
Right.
you make a
Right.
long version of this that goes through Jesus's life and you build to that crucifixion and then you do that. I'm in. Because while I'm not a
Like
religious person and I'm not in like I don't believe or buy in any of that stuff, I enjoy religious movies. I think they're I like stories. I'm in. I
yeah.
like narratives. I'm with you. But
Like
there's no
if
narrative
you
here.
none. If you cut this 2 hour movie down to like I said, like 30 to 45 minutes and it's the end of a movie, aces. Like
Pieces.
so good, you
I'm in.
know?
Yeah,
It could
you got
really
me.
work.
You got me. But you didn't do that here. You made the end of a movie and forgot to make the beginning and middle.
Right. Right. Like a lot of people really just lapped it up, which I found absolutely fascinating.
Well, my the funniest thing to me is that like Mel Gibson just tricked people into watching like a grindhouse exploitation movie because it's like really all this is. It's just like a 2 hour just like getting tortured movie. Like they tricked them into watching like Hostel is what it's like what this movie feels like.
Yeah, and then they left thinking about how profound it was for their
Yeah.
religious beliefs.
Yeah. And then they went home and cried themselves to sleep with joy about like how good he was to die for their sins.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Which is like kudos to you, Mel. What a move on that part.
Yeah, and I don't know that I have much like else to say, honestly.
Yeah, I got nothing else. I think I've exhausted all I possibly can out of the passion. My passion is spent.
Yeah. So that means we're moving on to IMDb, I believe, right?
I would believe so. Tell me this has got like let me hear the awards. I let me hear like it's got to be hilarious.
All right, so we'll start with the big awards, the less than hilarious
The
awards.
sinners awards.
No, yeah, I mean, depending on who you ask in those 10-star reviews, maybe that's what they would call them. I would call them the Academy Awards.
This got Oscar noms. Wow.
This was nominated for 3 Oscars,
Get the
and
fuck out of here.
it it's basically going to be pretty in line with what we were saying, though.
Wow.
It's not nominated for Best Picture or a screenplay or director or anything like that, which thank God.
It's
Um, It's a 2005 nominee for Best Achievement in Cinematography, which I
Okay.
think is
Yep.
fair.
That's
I
fair.
think that's fair.
Yeah, I can get behind that
Um,
one.
2005 nominee for Best Achievement in Makeup.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair.
okay.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
You got me.
Uh, and then this is actually something we didn't touch on, but I think I do agree with for the most part. Best Achievement in Music written for a motion picture. Basically, Best Original Score.
Okay. Eh, yeah, that's fine. No, no wins, right? It didn't win anything.
No, no wins at the Oscars, just the three
Okay. Just the
nominations.
noms. All right. That's listen. Three noms is not nothing to shake at.
I am going to ask you a question.
I will give you an answer.
What do you put let's say over under point 0.5? How many nominations do you think this will have at the Teen Choice Awards?
Zero. You no way. No way.
Uh, okay, you're right on that. Point 0.5, how many nominations over under do you think it has at the MTV Movie Awards?
Zero.
Wrong.
Dude, get out of here. Get out of
Wrong.
here. Oh my God. They're bringing back the best shirtless actor, Jim Caviezel for Jesus Christ.
I mean, you got the right guy anyway. At the MTV Movie and TV Awards, Jim Caviezel gets nominated for
For best
Best Male
fictional character.
Performance.
Oh, that's
Oh, oh man, that was nice. This
oh
one I am gonna look and see who else was nominated because I
yeah, because
cannot
that's
imagine. It's gotta be so silly.
yeah.
Like,
That's also like such a good one to like try and guilt people in. Like, you're not gonna vote for Jesus Christ for best male actor. Like, come on,
right, exactly.
like who's gonna beat Jesus Christ? It's like Adam Sandler for like Mr. Deeds.
Exactly. Okay, hold on. No, that's Jim Carrey was nominated for Best Kiss. That's not what we're
Oh
looking
no,
for.
that's not what we're looking for. We need the good
All right.
stuff.
So Best Male Performance, we've actually talked about this one before.
Oh, shocking.
Bill Murray. It's actually not as silly as you would think. The only really silly one, I mean, Tom Cruise for Last Samurai, Bill Murray for Lost in Translation. Those are both pretty serious movies, at least, right?
Yeah.
Adam Sandler is
Yeah.
nominated alongside Jim
First,
Caviezel in The Passion of the Christ. He's nominated for 50 First Dates, and then Johnny
amazing.
Depp ultimately wins for The Black Pearl.
Okay. Sure. Why not?
The MTV
Again
Movie
we have
Awards
no
has
idea.
spoken.
We again
Captain
have
Jack Sparrow beats Jesus Christ.
yeah, any day of the week. Tell me Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
Yeah. Now that's a deep cut. It
Um,
does. It ends up with a bunch of wins and things, but none of them are like really
and out.
worth
It's probably
mentioning.
yeah, it's probably just all in an area. Is there a person you'd like to dive into
Well, hold on.
between
I am going to give you one win because we've
okay.
talked about these yoga awards a couple of times,
Oh
right?
my God, these guys are showing back up already.
I have figured out what the yoga awards are. I have done some research for
Okay.
once.
Okay.
They're basically, from what I can tell, they're like the Spanish, like the country Spain version of the Razzies. They
Okay.
give out like it's like a parody thing.
Uh,
And this is the notable win I want to give here. Passion of the Christ wins for worst foreign film.
nice.
And I'm pretty sure the whole thing with the yoga awards is like every category is foreign. Or no, okay, so there's Spanish and then there's foreign. And
Okay.
like it's just a way for them to like give people in American movies awards for being terrible. Like,
Fair. Good on them.
but yeah, Passion of the Christ wins for worst film, which also probably pretty fair, I think.
I couldn't argue with that one.
I mean, we can take a look. I don't necessarily want to go through too much of this person, but I
Maybe.
do kind of want to look at Jim Caviezel.
Oh, you're gonna look at Jim Caviezel. Okay, I was gonna say maybe look at Mel Gibson as just a director, not an actor.
Well, we have Apocalypto coming up at some point, right?
No, we don't. I didn't see that in theaters.
Oh, okay.
His next
So I
directed
have.
movie will be Hacksaw Ridge, I believe, that I saw in
Oh,
theaters.
dude.
That's
Okay.
that's that's a
Yeah,
minute from
let's
now.
We'll do Mel Gibson as a director. I want to take a quick look at Jim Caviezel. I think I'm only going to have one question for you and one question only.
Okay, let's hear it.
Do you take The Passion of the Christ or Sound of Freedom?
Oh, dude, I fucking hate you.
Gotta know. I gotta know.
I no, actually, I would take The Passion of the Christ. Sound of Freedom is not fun or entertaining in any way, and not that this movie should be fun, but like, I get more out of this movie than I got out of Sound of Freedom. Like technically both of those movies are propaganda, but I would say it works a little bit better with the Passion of the Christ is at least a story and a narrative that I know and enjoy,
Right.
and Sound of Freedom is not that.
Right. It's not, I mean, like, depending on who you ask, maybe they would disagree with this, but like, The Passion of the Christ isn't all like totally made up bullshit. Like, it's based on like an actual book that's like
Yeah.
really good and people have been reading for thousands of years, you know? The Sound of Freedom is just total bullshit, right? Like,
It's all total bullshit. Like everything about that guy is just like fabricated to the ninth degree for that story.
yeah,
Although
right,
I
exactly.
will give Sound of Freedom props for having the best roll credits of all time. Like that
Yeah, I
that
know. We've talked about this
yeah,
before.
I'll give them their flowers for that, but that's all I'll give them that for.
Yeah, that's fair. But all right, I know. I've been waiting for that question like all week, and there's really nothing else much to talk about with Jim Caviezel
That was
here.
a top-notch question. That was good.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go because they do kind of exist in the same lane in sort of a weird way, if that makes sense.
No, definitely.
Uh, I am curious to see if you have seen this movie. I want to do one more this or that.
Or Jim Caviezel.
No, not for Jim Caviezel. Do you
Okay.
take The Passion of the Christ or Jesus Christ Superstar?
Jim, come on. Come on, Jim. Jesus Christ Superstar all day.
I know, dude, that movie rules. That movie is so good.
It's a bona fide classic right there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's take a look at Gibson's directing credits here. He only has 10 previous credits, and he has 2 credits upcoming, but it looks like both of them are. I have a feeling these are the same movie.
Yeah.
Um, one here is listed as The Resurrection of the Christ.
Oh yeah, let's go.
And then one of them is called The Passion of the Christ, Resurrection, Chapter 2. I'm pretty sure
Oh
those are
boy.
the same thing.
See about to Avengers Infinity War this? He's gonna make a two-part epic.
Oh my God, dude, you might be onto something. How could, okay, it can't
Like
be though, right? There's
how
no way.
that's what I'm saying. How are you gonna get that much story out of just the resurrection? Like,
Right, that's like, that should be like the last 10 minutes of this movie, not like 2 of its own movies.
yeah,
Like, that's insane.
that's absurd.
Uh, all right, but so those are 2 upcoming ones. He has 10 previous credits.
Okay.
Uh, 3 of those are like TV related things, so we're not even going to talk about those.
Go right to the good stuff.
1993, he directs a movie that I am not familiar with, The Man Without a Face.
All right.
It looks like he stars in this as well,
It sounds about right.
which this might be one to go back and look at. 1993, directed and starred Mel Gibson, The Man Without a Face.
Oh,
I'm just
next
gonna
song.
read you the blurb here really quick.
Okay.
Chuck wants to leave home, but can't make the grade for boarding school. Then he finds out the disfigured recluse living nearby is an ex-teacher. That doesn't sound like the plot to a movie. That doesn't
Right,
sound
like what?
that, that sounds like an interesting anecdote, not quite a movie.
It's like, all right, yeah, sure. Why not? Something.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to go back and talk about that at a later date, right? But moving on. Then in 1995, I honestly like was thinking that he directed this, and then I kind of forgot that he did because when I was watching Passion of the Christ, I was like, nah, he didn't direct this. 1995, he directs Braveheart.
Yeah, he directed Braveheart.
Yeah, which is like that's a really good movie.
No, that's a top-notch movie. I would say that's one of his best, probably his best directed movie, depending on what else is
Uh,
coming after this.
yeah, we'll see about that. I mean, it's definitely in the running. It's definitely in first place so far.
So far, absolutely.
That's in 1995. I'm not even going to ask whether you would take Braveheart or Passion of the Christ because I think it's obvious.
It's an easy win right there.
Then it's a big 9 year gap. His next movie is Passion of the Christ.
Okay.
2004, another TV thing, and then 2006, Apocalyptico.
Apocalyptico.
Apocalypto? Is that what it is?
Yeah, Apocalypto. There you go. You had
Sorry,
a few more
there's a
consonants
lot of
there.
consonants in a row
Yeah,
in
I was
that.
gonna
I
say.
needed to add some flair to it.
uh, Apocalypto, phenomenal movie. I would still take Braveheart.
I'm taking Apocalypto.
All right, that's fair.
And my reasoning is that Braveheart's a great movie,
Hmm.
but it has like a real like 90s blockbuster syndrome where it's like it's got the quirky Irish guy with the knives who's like it's my island, like and then
Yeah, baby.
it's got like the comedic relief and then like it's
90s cinema overall.
yeah, it's just there's too many parts of it that are like too so obviously a Hollywood movie.
Yeah. Too hokey for you at times.
Hokey, yeah, that's a good word. And Apocalypto is like
None of that.
one of the most immersive experiences I've ever had in a movie. Like where once it gets going, it's like there's no breaks.
Yeah,
It goes like full bore to the end.
full throttle.
Um, and it also does like a really like the fact that it's all subtitled is amazing. Like that keeps me engaged and keeps me like reading like while I'm doing, which keeps my eyes on the screen, which these days is hard to do.
Yeah. I haven't watched Apocalypto in a while. I would have to revisit that.
Yeah, and I mean like the other thing I would say is like Braveheart has like kind of like a 3 hour like total history of like there's like all kinds of like jumps and like it's not like necessarily like I can't say that it's not
Explained.
one coherent narrative, but it's kind of all over the place, which is not necessarily bad either. But Apocalypto has like an amazing ticking clock in it, which is
Yeah.
like he escaped and his wife and kid are in a hole, and like he needs to get back there and get them out of that hole. Like, yeah,
Whereas Braveheart feels just more sprawling, so there's not as
yeah,
much tension to be wrung out of. This needs to be done quickly. The tempo
right, right,
is high.
right,
I feel you. I feel that.
yeah.
That's fair.
Uh, then we're gonna have another huge gap.
Okay.
It's not again until 2016 that he directs Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh yeah, that's my number one
That's your number one?
of what he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I would put Hacksaw Ridge over.
I would put Hacksaw Ridge pretty high up there too. Yeah,
Yeah,
Hacksaw Ridge is
yeah,
an amazing movie.
yeah. That movie is fantastic. Andrew Garfield, so goddamn good in that movie.
I think I would still probably take Apocalypto like over it in like as a whole,
Yeah,
but the last like 45 minutes of Hacksaw Ridge are insane. Like they're
yeah,
like maybe like some of the best 45 minutes I've ever seen in a movie.
yeah, they're incredible. I think what I've learned from here is that I have to go back and rewatch Apocalypto because that's the one movie out of all these movies that we've said that I've only watched like once.
Yeah, Apocalypto is like pretty incredible,
Yeah,
man. I watched it like kind of recently, which is why it's all so fresh in my
it's
head.
fresh in
But
your
yeah,
mind.
it's
Yeah,
really good.
yeah. I think I only watched it like once or twice when it first came out. We watched it at my house or whatever, and I haven't touched it in again. So I need to go back and rewatch that one because I've watched Hacksaw Ridge and Braveheart like fairly often.
Yeah, Hacksaw Ridge is so good too,
Yeah,
man.
so good.
Uh, who plays the dad? It's Hugo Weaving. Is that
Hugo
the guy's
Weaving.
name?
Yeah, Hugo Weaving.
Yeah. When he like walks in to give the testimony in Hacksaw Ridge, and he's like in his uniform that doesn't really fit anymore, it's like that. Oh my god, that movie is pretty great.
Where he just takes him out to like show him all of his friends, and it's just a bunch of graves. These are my friends. Like, you want to go to
Yeah,
war? Like, you
yeah, yeah.
will lose everything you love.
Yep. Yeah. Real bad. All right. So it sounds like, barring us watching The Man Without a Face, you have Passion of the Christ basically on the bottom of that list, right?
I would put it above Flight Risk.
Well, yeah, we didn't get to. All right, fair. Let's talk about Flight Risk because I haven't seen Flight Risk. We have another big jump after Hacksaw Ridge until 2025, when inexplicably, in a list of what are really great movies as far as we're concerned that we've talked about, he makes Flight Risk
I don't
starring Mark
know.
Wahlberg.
I don't know who he owed a favor to, but someone coerced him into making this pile of trash because this movie is horrible.
We talked a little bit about this in another episode. There's no way it never had a chance of being good.
No, no. Maybe if he made this in like 1990, like six, it had a chance, but not today. Like
I
it's
don't know. It just strikes me as one of those premises where it sounds cool on the surface, like where it's like, what if the pilot transporting him was the assassin? But then like the second you start to like think deeper, you're like, oh, but there's like nothing there. Like what could possibly happen in this movie?
to answer your question, nothing.
Right,
Very
exactly.
little happens in this. This movie is all over the place, and the way that they decided to like maybe inject something to happening was to make Mark Wahlberg be like a bisexual rapist because the whole movie, while he's captured, he just talks about like raping Topher Grace, and then making like the girl watch and then getting her turn. It's like, what? Why are you like this?
Yeah, Mel, I don't know, Mel. There's some serious red flags
Yeah.
there.
It's like he starts doing it, and you're like, what? Like the first time he does it, you're like, that was weird, and then he does it again, and you're like, why do it again, man? Like, what is your purpose, Wahlberg? Why are you like this?
He's going back to that Passion of the Christ well, man. It's all about the
Yeah,
shock value.
yeah. So it's that movie. That movie is straight trash. So I would put Passion of the Christ over that movie at least.
Yeah, that's fair. I haven't seen that, and I probably am never going to see it.
Yeah, don't. If you're thinking of
Um,
watching that movie, don't.
don't. Yeah. I am interested. Actually, no, I'm not. I was gonna say I was interested in the resurrection, like Passion of the Christ Chapter 2, but
No, yeah, no, you're not.
it's gonna be so much worse than the
Yeah,
2004
yeah,
one, which I already didn't like very much.
yeah.
So
Like, I don't even want to see the 2025 context of making that
right,
movie.
it can only get worse
Yeah,
because the target audience
yeah,
has only gotten
yeah.
worse.
I don't want to see what the ambassador to Hollywood right now is going to do with the resurrection of the
Right,
Christ.
right. And yeah, I think that's really it for IMDb. I don't know that
Yep.
there's much else to talk about.
I think after all that, the only place we could possibly turn is our star ratings.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. I'm not going to play the drop, by the way.
Well, Jim, let me ask you this. Do you think Roger Ebert would want you to play that drop?
That's what I was going to say. I don't know. I think that Ebert's not going to like this very much. I think we're going to be pretty close to what he says, which is that maybe some of the visuals are good, but overall it's kind of lacking.
All right, Jim. Just remember you said that.
Oh boy.
Roger Ebert gave this movie a perfect 4 out of 4.
No way.
Yep. And he writes, what Gibson has provided for me for the first time in my life is a visceral idea of what the passion consisted of.
Yep. It's
Take,
what we were saying before.
take it or leave it.
It brought the stained glass windows to life, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't want a plot. They just wanted to literally see what happened to him in those 12
Yeah.
hours. And if that's what you wanted out of it, I'm glad you
I
got
mean,
it.
yeah,
I'm
good for
happy.
you.
Yeah. Good for you. Happy you got it.
But
Not what I wanted.
I think I need to question. I mean, like, Ebert's got some blinders on here, I think. I think if Ebert
Listen.
was able to take a step back, he would know.
Yeah. Listen, everyone, they're always going to get it right. Well, let's hear it from you, Jim. Let's hear your star rating for the Passion of the Christ. And remember, he's watching in the cloud above right now, hovering
Yeah,
over the film.
I give it a 5. No.
I'm actually in a room. He's just got a gun to the back of my head right now. I'm like, I give it
Yeah.
a perfect rating. Perfect rating.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. That's the whole thing about God. It doesn't matter what room you're in. He's always got a gun to the back of your head. He's everywhere, baby.
I'm going to remember that on
Uh,
my next Palm Sunday.
yeah. Um, no, I mean like I don't know. Like I like we've said like the things we liked about it and the things that we think they did well. And I think that in our conversations about movies, that stuff has always carried a lot less weight for us than stories, you know? And I think that most of this movie is just like an exercise in futility. So I'm gonna give it a 1.5 out of 5.
Oh, well, 1.5 from Jimbo.
Yeah, I don't think it's very good. I think it's kind of it's lame.
No, I'm right there with you. I'm gonna give this bad boy a oneer. It's
Wow.
yeah, I didn't it didn't do anything for me. It did nothing for me. And the whole time I'm watching, like it gets 1 star for like the production value. Like it was well made. But
Yeah.
what I look for in movies, this ain't it. Like
No, not
it's
even
not it.
close.
It's not even close to what I want out of movies. And it's not to say that it has anything to do with the subject matter. Like if they did this movie the right way, the subject matter, it would hit. But it doesn't do that. What it
Yeah.
gives me here is not what I want out of a movie. It's not what I look for in a movie. And it didn't give me what I want. So 1 star just for the value of what they put into the movie, but as a movie of entertainment and story, it craters. It sucks.
Yeah, to put some more context into something we were saying earlier, this is there's the last 45 minutes of a 5-star movie somewhere in the 2 hours that I just watched, but it's not the 2 hours that I just watched. Not even close.
Not even not even a little bit here in this movie.
Yeah.
So with a 1.5 from you and a 1 from me, that's going to give us an overall score of 2.5. I can feel God raining eyes down over my shoulder. But
It's
we're
all right.
gonna
He got his cinema score. He can leave us alone.
yeah. We're gonna do some battle with some 2.5ers right now for you. So do you take the Passion of the Christ or do you take the Cat in the Hat?
I'll take the Cat in the Hat.
I'll also take the Cat in the Hat. See you
Yeah.
later, God.
Yeah. Is there any other 2.5s? Because I am curious. Like,
There were 3 more 2.5s. Their next battles
yeah,
would be
I think
yeah.
the better way to do this is to just put it up against every 2.5 because like my answers are probably going to change like week to week. You know what I mean? If you ask me in 2 months, I might put the 2.5s in a totally different order. So I do kind of want to put it up against everyone, you know?
Well, yeah, well, for the list, this is where it'll fall. But we know that like you ask us any day, and this list could be completely different. It's
Right,
more just
right.
playing in the manner of when it right gets to us. But we will still play it against every other movie, at least in the 2.5s. So after that would be American Wedding.
I would take the Passion of the Christ. You know how much I hate American
I know
Wedding,
you would.
dude.
I knew when I saw it, if there was any movie you would take the Passion over, it would be American Wedding.
Like
Uh,
I am the king of not taking things personally. I took American Wedding personally, dude.
you
Like
did.
you think I'm an idiot when
You
you make
did.
that
You
movie.
you you went hard
Like,
on that one. After that, it would be Dumb and Dumberer when Harry met Lloyd.
I'll take Dumb and Dumber.
Uh, that's a fucking that's a
That's a
tough
tough
one.
one, right?
That's
Yeah,
a
it's
tough one.
borderline.
I hate both of those movies. Um, fuck. Yeah, I would take that. I would take
Which one?
Dumb and Dumberer. You
Okay, yeah.
make me say it.
Because it's
And then
like my rule of thumb is usually like which movie would I watch again? Like if you were like sitting me down right now and we're like, let's put on a movie. It can be Passion of the Christ or Dumb and Dumberer. It's like I'm picking Dumb and Dumberer 10 times out of 10.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, then sitting at the top of the 2.5s is Eight Crazy Nights.
Uh oh man. Talk about a battle. Passion of the Christ versus the only Hanukkah movie I can remember. Uh,
Oh yeah, Jesus. Yeah, choose wisely, my son.
I would take Eight Crazy Nights, yeah. If only because of the songs.
Yeah, I would also take Eight Crazy Nights. So I think at least for me, Passion sitting right where it should.
It's pretty close to the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm interested, but I don't think there's a movie I'm ever gonna take that's like American Wedding over.
So in Passion of the Christ, the only movies it beats is Kangaroo Jack Jimmy Neutron, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
Yeah, those are all pretty reasonable, I think,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah,
I think I don't disagree with any of that.
I think that's solid, and I think we can now firmly put this exercise in the rearview mirror. God, it's been fun, but we're
Yeah,
moving on. We're moving on now.
this is a good one. This is a good one. It
No, this
wasn't
was
as
fun.
bad as I thought it was gonna be.
This was fun.
Like it
Glad to
wasn't as
finally,
uncomfortable to do the episode, I guess is what I should say.
yes, and glad to finally like put the check on this movie and like put it away now and be like, I watched it. I see what the hubbubaloo and everything. Like I can move on now. The passion's
Yeah,
finally been seen. Now we
totally.
didn't guess it. You guessed it the previous week, but you didn't guess it in this week's one. But we won't play our guessing game because we didn't even come across it in the box office because we're months
Yeah.
past the passion. But we're doing the day after tomorrow. We're back on the regularly scheduled programming. Dennis Quaid,
Ooh,
Jake Gyllenhaal, some good old Roland Emmerich disaster action.
nice.
Yeah, so that'll be fun to dive into that one.
That's
But
another movie. I don't think I've ever seen that movie. I've seen maybe like bits and pieces of it, but I don't think I've ever watched like the whole thing.
ooh, so this will be a fun one. You get to dive in and see that movie in its entirety, an absolute classic in the disaster film realm.
Yeah.
Before we leave the people, what's the last thing you were jamming on?
Um, what did I see? Hold on, you go first. Let me think about this for a second because I think I was watching a movie the other day that I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what it was.
So the last thing that I watched was actually I went to the movies today before we did this podcast, and I watched the new Looney Tunes movie that they put out, The Day the Earth Blew Up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not no one knew it, and it just dropped out of nowhere. Every theater just got it. No, I never saw a movie poster or a trailer for this thing. It just dropped out of nowhere. And so I went and saw it, and not very good. There's a reason why no one knew about it.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even know they made another Looney
Yeah,
Tunes movie. That's funny.
it's just kind of there. Like Porky Pig and Daffy Duck team up to save the planet from an invading alien. And there's moments that have some like really good Looney Tunes humor in it, but as a whole, I was just like bored throughout most of the
Yeah,
movie.
doesn't
Checking
sound like
checking
it'd be
my
that
phone. So kind of a waste of a trip to the theater. My Letterboxd review was maybe I don't have to go see every movie in the theater.
great. Yeah, right. That's actually funny because I was gonna like the reason I'm kind of stalling here is because I was gonna go see a movie the day like today, the day we're recording this,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, this will be great. I'll talk about whatever that movie is when I do the episode. And my girlfriend was like, I wanted to go see The Monkey. And my girlfriend was like, ah, but that's not really one you need to see in theaters. And I'm like, are you sure you need to see Novocaine in theaters? Like, are you sure? Like, I don't think we do.
The answer is yes, we need to see both of them in theaters because the theatrical experience is better than anything you can get at home, regardless of how good your system is.
No, and that I mean that is true, but like I wonder how many people are still making movies for the theatrical experience, you know? Like I think a lot of them are phoning it in because so many people are watching it at home. So like a movie like Novocaine, I don't know that I need to go to the theater to see it, you know?
It's a shame. People should. I will. I'm going to see that one during the week. And the answer is you should go see The Monkey in theaters.
I do want to go see The Monkey. It
Yeah.
looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's like
It was very entertaining. I'll say that.
what it stuck.
I don't want to spoil anything from it for you.
No, don't. It seemed like Final Destination, but instead of like an invisible like force, death was a monkey with like symbols, which sounded great. Like,
Yeah, you're not too far off. It's something.
yeah,
Yeah.
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I
It's
haven't
good.
really been watching movies. I watched a little bit of the show The Blacklist with
Okay.
James Spader.
James Spader, yeah.
Yeah, which it is not good. It is like absolutely like procedural TV schlock.
Yeah, that sounds
But
about right.
but I've been enjoying it. It's like kind of fun. It's like network, very network
Very
TV.
networky. Yeah.
Yeah.
My stepdad loves that show.
Does he?
Yeah, he loves it. He burned through like the entirety of the show in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
And
good.
yeah.
It's not good, but it's worth checking out, I guess. It's like kind of fun, you know?
Sometimes just need a good procedural on.
Yeah, yeah. If
Yeah,
you're into
there you go.
procedurals, yeah,
Yeah,
you'll
so there you go.
probably like it.
If you're into procedurals, check out the Blacklist. Go check out the movies we mentioned and watch The Passion. Reserve these. Form your own opinions. Don't listen to us. We're just two guys digging on The
Yeah,
Passion.
yeah.
And make sure you
And
join us back here.
please don't like take me too seriously. Like, if you really care about the Passion of the Christ, I'm happy for you. You know, like enjoy
Yes,
it. You
we
know.
are. Don't take any of the blasphemous and sacrilegious things we said through this to heart, please. I
We're
don't
New
need
York
someone
Catholics. That's just
firebombing
how we
my
are.
exactly. That's it. So
I'll
make
see
sure
you guys at Christmas Mass. You know.
yeah, I'll see you. I'll see you for Palm Sunday. I'm going to do Palm Sunday right now. And make sure you join with us next week when we dive into the day after tomorrow. And as always, we'll see you at the movies.